New Pakistan Prime Minister Imran Khan meets US Secretary of State Mike Pompeo. Imran Khan says he is born optimist because he has been a sportsman and always wins. Now, this is a statement which is coming from Imran Khan. Let me go across to my colleague Siddhant Sibal, who joins me from the newsroom. Siddhant, how do we interpret this statement? Formality or a communication of intent?
Well, it's a kind of formality, and of course, for Imran Khan, this is the first engagement, highest level engagement with a former ally, a country with which Pakistan currently doesn't have a very warm relationship, and one can gauge that from the welcome the Secretary of State got from the Foreign Office in Pakistan. A pretty low-level junior grade officer was sent to welcome him, while we know that India's external affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj is expected to receive Pompeo when he arrives here in Delhi in just few hours, and a focus, of course, will be on many things, including what conversations Mr. Pompeo had in Islamabad. That will be the key thing which Delhi would like to hear from the officials. But of course, in Delhi, of course, all the officials are geared up for the maiden 2+2 dialogue, in which Pakistan, Afghanistan, China, Indo-Pacific will be discussed. And before coming to Islamabad, there was a briefing by the Secretary of State. He said that the focus will be on Indo-Pacific and other related areas, and not on the deal which India is having with Russia, the S-400 deal, and the Iranian sanctions. These, of course, remain a worry for Delhi. We know from the top sources that this will be something that Delhi is likely to put in a very strong manner for Delhi. Iran is a key ally when it comes to energy, because Delhi imports a lot of oil from Iran, and with Russia it's the defense partnership. And we have seen before the 2+2 dialogue, Delhi kind of hedging its bet against the Trump administration. We have seen those informal summits, whether it's in Sochi or whether it's in Wuhan. These informal summits somehow trying to increase engagement with Russia and China, and many experts have said that it might come at the cost of Americans. But right now Delhi is focusing on the 2+2 dialogue, in which Indo-Pacific will be the key theme, because that's the evolving construct, the evolving concept from the west coast of India to the west coast of America, and more energy will be infused in the entire concept. And Secretary Pompeo had in the long description talked about how Indo-Pacific will be discussed, not only on the basis of diplomacy, but also on the basis of how to make this construct more viable at a time when China's influence is increasing around the region.
But before I let go of you, this visit is not going to be limited to Islamabad. The Pompeo is also going to come to India, which is 2+2. So in this context, how important the visit?
Well, this visit is an important visit because this is the maiden 2+2 dialogue here in Delhi, while of course in Islamabad it's important because it's the first high-level engagement between the new administration in Islamabad with the Americans. We know that the first tweet by the US President Donald Trump this year was on lies and deceit by Islamabad, and since then the relationship has gone down, and we have seen how Islamabad is moving towards Beijing, and this is something that the authorities and of course US President Donald Trump would not like. But here in Delhi there is euphoria, there is optimism when it comes to 2+2 dialogue. External Affairs Minister is going to receive Mr. Pompeo, and all the four ministers, the Indian External Affairs Minister, the Defense Minister and the counterparts, are also going to call on the Prime Minister tomorrow, and the basic focus will be on convergences and also the issues of concern. Issues of concern will be basic matter of discussion, because on those issues Delhi and Washington have to show some kind of flexibility, because issues of concern are the two sanctions as we have already discussed, but also the issues of trade, the H-1B visa issue, and of course protectionism in America.
Thank you, Siddhant, for this update. I'm also joined by my colleague Anas Malik from Islamabad. Anas, what's on the plate in today's meeting?
Well, absolutely, Karthik. It was the first high-level engagement between Pakistan and USA that we saw after the the coalition support cut by the US. That came in just 4 days before. Now, what we begin to understand and what we're picking up from our sources is that Pakistan was very clear and redundant on their stance. America has once again demanded to do more on it. On Pakistan's side, that Pakistan has said that it would be carrying out action based on mutual respect and trust basis. Not just that, Pakistan has also said that it would keep in mind the joint stake of America and Pakistan while carrying out its actions. So clearly, Islamabad has set out its line, and it's been very clear. And again, it's something very unprecedented because we've previously seen the messaging done from the Pakistani government where they practically bowed down to the American demands. But this time, the meeting time was actually scheduled for an hour and a half. And we saw the meeting being ended in just 40 minutes. And then the second meeting that was the Prime Minister, about an hour and a half, an hour and 50 minutes. So again, and the third meeting that was scheduled to take place at the headquarters, that never took place. In fact, the army chief flew in and he met the American State Secretary at the Prime Minister's office as well. So a clear-cut messaging done by the Pakistani administration that they're all on the same page. And again, all what is going to happen is going to happen on the basis of mutual trust and respect. Yes, Karthik.
Anas, you stay with me. U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo held delegation-level talks with Pakistan Foreign Minister Makhdoom Shah Mahmood Qureshi and other senior Pakistani officials at the Foreign Office earlier today. The Pakistanis detailed the reforms agenda of the new government. The two sides also discussed Afghanistan and the regional security situation in detail. The Pakistan side stressed that it wants a permanent solution to the Afghan problem. Pompeo is accompanied by General Joseph Dunford, chairman of the Joint Chief of Staff, in the visit during which terrorism and financial aid given by the United States to Pakistan also after the US cut $300 million in aid to Pakistan. Pakistan claims it was money that the US owes Islamabad for the war against terror. Ahead of the visit of Pompeo justified the aid cut. He has said that Pakistan did not make satisfactory progress in combating terror. He said, and I quote, "The rationale for them not getting the money is very clear, and it's that we haven't seen the progress that we need to see from them. The very reason for this trip is to try and articulate what is our expectations, the thing that they can do, the thing that they expect us to do, and see if we can't find a path forward together." Pompeo also met Pakistan's newly elected Prime Minister Imran Khan. Besides Army Chief General Qamar Javed Bajwa and Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi, this is the first high-level dialogue between US and Imran Khan's administration in Pakistan. Pompeo said he's expected Pakistan to help America and Afghanistan as well. He said, and I quote, "We need Pakistan to seriously engage to help us get to the reconciliation on what we need in Afghanistan. Without their assistance, without their help." You have heard General Nicholson and General Miller, both the incoming and outgoing commanders. They have both talked about this. They have important interests, security interests in Afghanistan, to make sure that they get the issues at their border right, and we need their help. So, Anas, going by the statement of Imran Khan, rekindling the relationship or maintaining the status quo?
Well, what Imran Khan has been, as you quoted, and Imran Khan has been a spokesman all of his life, so he's very optimistic of breaking the ice. But again, what would be interesting is to see what would be the outcome, what would be the concrete actions as the Pakistani side that it is to undertake. Now this is not the first time that the US has asked Pakistan to take concrete actions against the terrorists operating from its soil in Afghanistan, especially the Haqqani network, the Afghan Taliban, and the like-minded groups of such terrorist organizations. It's been ongoing since last year when President Trump's South Asia policy came in, and then in October 2017 we saw Rex Tillerson coming in for an emergency meeting with the Pakistani delegation. Now, what is interesting, Shakti, is to be noted that there were 3 meetings that were scheduled of the Pakistani delegate, of the American delegation, to be held here in Pakistan. The first meeting was to be held at the Pakistani Ministry of Foreign Affairs. That was the delegation level talk. The second meeting was to be held at the Pakistani Prime Minister's office. That was with the Prime Minister. Again, it was a delegation level talk. And the third meeting was to be held at the General Headquarters, the Army Headquarters, with the Pakistani Army Chief. Now, the Army Chief flew in, and there was no meeting that took place at the General Headquarters. So what we begin to understand that there is a status quo, because had there been any breakthrough or any breakthroughs or any icebreaker, the delegation would have indeed gone to the General Headquarters and would have held its meeting with the military delegation as well. Yes, Karthik.
Thank you so much, Anas, for this update. 2 Russian nationals have been named as suspects in the attempted murder of a former Russian spy, Sergei Skripal, and his daughter Yulia. British Prime Minister Theresa May has claimed that the 2 men charged with carrying out the Salisbury Novichok attack are Russian spies. British security services said that the men travelled to UK under the names of Alexander Petrov and Ruslan Boshirov, but believe that they are allies and are appealing for uncovering their true identities.
There were those who, when I first presented what had happened in Salisbury in March to this House, questioned the point that we had made, questioned the statement that I had made about the involvement of the Russian state. Now we have clearly seen the police have identified two individuals. The CPS, the independent CPS, has laid charges against those two individuals. We have clearly identified a link with the Russian military intelligence agency, the GRU. And it is clear that permission for an act of this sort would have been taken outside the GRU and at a senior level within the Russian state.
66-year-old Sergei Skripal and his daughter Yulia were poisoned with the nerve agent Novichok in March. The offences against the suspect include conspiracy to murder Sergei Skripal, the attempted murder of the Sergei Skripal, Yulia Skripal, and the use of the possession of Novichok contrary to the chemical weapons. I am joined by Mandy Clark, Bureau Chief, London. Mandy, tell me now, they have been able to pinpoint the suspects. As per the investigation, have they left the country, or they have used different identities and again melted back into the British society?
In all likelihood, it seems with Theresa May's statement that they had flown in for the what she described as an execution or the execution attempt of the Skripals, then it's in all likelihood that they have returned to Russia. Now, to cast your mind back with with the Litvinenko assassination that did happen around 10 years ago. The suspect did come from Russia and then return from Russia. The UK demanded his extradition, and that never happened. So in all likelihood, this was very much Theresa May stating her case, confirming in front of the House of Commons to the British public that indeed the Russian state was behind it in the highest levels, including the military. But in all likelihood, the chances that they will get those suspects prosecuted in British courts is unlikely. The Russian government doesn't really have extradition to the UK. They've never extradited before, so and they have said publicly that they don't recognize any involvement at all in the poisoning of the Skripal. So it is a public announcement. It's a message to Russia. But whether it goes further in the courts, that's yet to remain to be seen.
But then the fact of the matter is that, as you said, that they came in for the execution. But it also goes on to show that the Russians have used poison and execution as part of their hard diplomacy, just to give a message that they can get to anyone, anywhere.
Very much so. In many ways, these high-profile poisonings are a message to other double agents or anyone that the Russian state has deemed an enemy, that they are not safe anywhere, that you can move to different countries, but they can still reach you in your safe havens. So although they have denied any involvement, Theresa May has made it clear that she doesn't believe that they have evidence that Russian agents linked to the Kremlin were behind it. And in many ways, we can expect the Russians to react negatively to this. The relations between the UK and Russia is one of the worst it's been. There's deep suspicion on both sides. It's unlikely to get any better. But we don't expect Russia to hand over these agents anytime soon.
Thank you. Thank you so much for giving this update to us.